So Ted Cruz just spent a Senate antitrust hearing, which, by the way, is supposed to be about whether an $83 billion merger creates too much market power, turning it into a culture war rally where he asked Netflix executives if they believe America is on stolen land because Billie Eilish said so at the Grammys. And when both witnesses wouldn't immediately denounce the entire concept of indigenous history on command, Cruz declared that the entertainment world is deeply corrupt and lectured them about how entertainers leaping to their feet at the notion that America's fundamentally illegitimate proves Hollywood is a propaganda machine. All while a protester dressed as the Monopoly man sat directly behind these executives to make the point that maybe, just maybe, we should be talking about whether Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers is actually good for competition instead of relitigating a Grammy speech from 2 days ago. Look, there are some things in life that are pretty self-evident. You don't yell fire in a crowded theater when there's no fire. You don't bring a tuna sandwich to a job interview. You don't cast Nicolas Cage as a librarian in a romance film, though honestly I'd watch that. And you definitely don't hijack an antitrust hearing about an $83 billion corporate merger that could reshape the entire entertainment industry and turn it into your personal Fox News audition reel where you demand tech executives apologize for things a 24-year-old pop star said while accepting a Grammy. But that's exactly what Ted Cruz did on Tuesday. And frankly, I'm not even sure he knows what an antitrust hearing is supposed to accomplish anymore. Then again, this is the senator who left Texas during a deadly freeze to go to Cancun, so reading the room has never really been his strong suit. So what happened here? On February 3rd, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos and Warner Brothers Discovery Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer Bruce Campbell testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Antitrust about Netflix's proposed $83 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery's studio and streaming assets, a deal that would give Netflix control of HBO Max, Warner Brothers films, and a massive content library, while the company already holds about 18% of the premium streaming market. Let's watch Mr. Cancun talk about stolen land, and I will give you my breakdown at the end.
Capitalist society that believes in the marketplace, but I appreciate both of you coming before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator Klobuchar. Senator Cruz.
Thank you. I want to start by having the record reflect that I'm amazed Senator Klobuchar managed to reference the terrific movie Grumpy Old Men.
Well, it sort of is relevant to our workplace.
Without making a very
that's
obvious
right, and
point.
I thought of saying that, but I chose not to, but now I did.
You had the hanging punchline, and Amy, I needed you to finish it because it does, in fact, describe our place of work.
See how stories unite us?
Cruz can use a movie quote from literally anything to match any situation. It's one of his superpowers.
That's inconceivable. All right. This is an $83 billion merger. It's a big deal. Entertainment matters. Content matters. Mr. Sarandos, how many subscribers does Netflix have in the United States?
Around 86,000, 86 million, sorry.
And if the merger goes...
Senator Cruz, we reported by North America, so it includes Canada.
So if the merger went through, how many subscribers would you anticipate having?
What's the growth of HBO Max? What's your last number?
Yeah, well, we don't publicly disclose our HBO number, but the HBO subscribers in the U.S. are roughly 50 million. But remember, 80% of those subscribers already subscribe to Netflix, so there's significant overlap there.
So if you're at 90 million now with Netflix, by any measure, you'd be north of 100 million, depending on the overlap. Is that fair to say?
Depending on the overlap and the retention, yes.
It's a matter of basic economics. Does more market power typically lead to higher prices or lower prices?
Across which industry, sir?
Across any industry.
Yeah. I think more market power gives you the ability, but if you're not delivering the value, you can never cash in on it.
You have a gentleman sitting behind you in the monopoly outfit. In your view, are monopolies a good thing in America?
No, sir, they're not.
Should the American people be concerned about a monopoly in entertainment and streaming?
Just to be clear, while monopolies are not good, we are nowhere near dominant, let alone a monopoly. We have 9% market share that will grow to 10. If you wanted to contort yourself.
Well, but that's defining the market the way you want, and obviously an antitrust assessment, the market definition is critical. In the streaming market, paid subscription streaming, what % do you have of the market?
For us, that would be kind of a fantasy construct.
Okay, so you don't want to answer that.
No, I'm just saying, if you take YouTube out of the picture, which is the one that that people think is controversial, we'd be about 18% plus 3% of about 21%.
So another aspect of this merger that I think is raising significant concerns, which is an ideological aspect. Would you agree there's a difference between entertainment and propaganda?
Yes, sir.
I and many others on this committee have been concerned for a long time about censorship in the media, and censorship in Hollywood. There already seems to be only one acceptable political view. Actually, I want to ask, did either of y'all watch the Grammys this week?
I did not.
Just the tail end of it.
One simple question. Are we right now on stolen land?
I have no idea the history of this land, where we're sitting today.
Nor do I, Senator.
So that speaks volumes that neither of you are willing to say, hell no, we're not on stolen land. And I will say at the Grammys, when you see an entertainer say, nobody is illegal while we're on stolen land, and then you see entertainers leap to their feet clapping so excitedly at the notion that America is fundamentally illegitimate, it starts to convey that the entertainment world is deeply corrupt. And I will point out that same singer who says no one is illegal on stolen land promptly went back to her $14 million mansion, and somehow that stolen land she wasn't concerned about, just the United States of America. Look, Netflix has long been a left-wing company. Your founder, Reed Hastings, is one of the biggest Democrat donors in the country, including giving millions recently to the massive gerrymander in California, making it one of the most gerrymandered states in the union, because your founder desperately wants a Democrat House of Representatives. Susan Rice from the Obama White House is on your board of directors. You guys gave $50 million to the Obamas, as far as I can tell, to produce no discernible content whatsoever. How would you tell a Texan sitting at home to feel comfortable? CNN is already a dumpster fire. There's nothing resembling objectivity. There's nothing resembling journalism anymore. How are people at home, how should they feel even remotely confident that if this merger happens, the combined entity would not simply be a propaganda outlet pushing one particular political view with much greater market power than you have now?
Well, sir, we would fail. We would fail pushing a political view or propaganda. We deliver entertainment to consumers. Our consumers see our business pretty much the way they see America. About 40% conservative, about 40% liberal, about 20% don't know. And but when they turn on TV, they're tuned in to be entertained. And if we fail to entertain them by trying to promote propaganda or anything other than entertainment, we fail.
Mr. Campbell, same question to you.
We see the world very similar. We have a very broad range of content across not only HBO Max, but all of our platforms that we need to appeal to all audiences. Our content ranges from Hard Knocks from the NFL to shows like Deadliest Catch and Gold Rush. It's a very broad collection of programming that represents broad interests across America.
You have a wide range of programming on HBO. Name one program that is designed to appeal to conservatives.
We don't design our programming to appeal to
I can think of a lot that are designed to go to liberals. Name one.
None of our shows are designed to go to any political group. They're designed to appeal to...
Really, John Oliver's not designed to appeal to a certain group?
It's a program that... for which there's...
You just said none of your program is. Look, let me ask you, do you think CNN is fair and balanced?
I do believe CNN is a fair...
So when CNN showed riots and fires behind them, and you put a chyron, mostly peaceful but fiery protest, was that journalism?
Sir, I'm not involved with CNN, and in fact, they're not part of this transaction, but they have an independent editorial board, they have independent news gathering. We don't direct
They're
their
only,
decisions.
they have no independence other than hating Donald Trump, which is why their viewership numbers have plummeted, because they don't actually report news. They instead engage in very biased propaganda. And I will say, the truest words you said a minute ago is when you said with respect to Mr. Sarandos, well, he and I see the world in very much the same way. That is exactly the problem, that in the world of journalism, it should not be propaganda. In the world of entertainment, there is a reason why entertainers who are even slightly right of center get blackballed in Hollywood, writers get blackballed in Hollywood, actors get blackballed in Hollywood. And I've heard nothing today to give me any confidence that this merger would do anything other than make that problem much, much worse. Thank you.
All right. So if you just watch that and you're sitting there thinking, what the hell did I just watch? You're having the correct reaction. You're not crazy. What you witnessed was a United States senator using his limited time in a hearing about monopolistic business practices to instead prosecute Netflix for the crime of existing while Billie Eilish has opinions. Let me give you some information you don't have. According to CNN, this February 3rd hearing was supposed to examine whether Netflix's $83 billion deal to acquire Warner Bros. Discovery's assets would harm competition in the streaming industry. While many senators grilled Sarandos over antitrust issues, labor concerns, and consumer prices, several conservative members focused instead on unsubstantiated accusations that Netflix promotes woke content and transgender ideology. NBC News reported that Senator Josh Hawley asked Sarandos why so much of Netflix content for children promotes a transgender ideology, claiming almost half of Netflix's children's programming features this highly controversial, highly sexualized material. Hawley, by the way, didn't provide a source for his almost half statistic, but according to the Daily Beast, the number came from the Oversight Project, the former investigative arm of the Heritage Foundation, which produced Project 2025 before it became an independent entity last year. Its latest task has been to circulate a 47-page report claiming that Netflix holds an outsized role in socially engineering millions of Americans into a predisposition to accept preferred left-wing ideological dogma. Now, about Cruz's Grammy obsession. According to Rolling Stone, Billie Eilish won Song of the Year for Wildflower at the 2026 Grammys on Sunday, February 1st. Just 2 days before this hearing, and used her speech to say no one is illegal on stolen land while wearing an ICE out pin and condemning immigration and customs enforcement. This became a conservative talking point instantly, and Cruz decided to bring it into a hearing about corporate consolidation because why focus on boring things like market share and consumer prices when you can score culture war points? Here's what Cruz is actually doing and why it matters. He's not stupid. He knows exactly what an antitrust hearing is for. But he also knows that his constituents aren't watching C-SPAN to learn about the intricacies of streaming market definitions. They're watching Fox News clips of him owning Hollywood executives. So instead of doing his job, which would be examining whether this merger concentrates too much power in one company's hands, he's performing. He's creating content. And look at the specific way he does it. He asks if they watch the Grammys. They say no, or only the tail end. Then he springs his trap. One simple question. Are we right now on stolen land? When they won't immediately say hell no, because, maybe they don't want to casually dismiss the entire historical reality of indigenous peoples being forcibly removed from their land. Cruz declares this, speaks volumes, and launches into a rant about how Billie Eilish has a $14 million mansion, so she's a hypocrite. But here's the thing Cruz doesn't mention, probably because it would undercut his whole theatrical production. According to the Daily Mail, the Tongva tribe, whose ancestral territory includes Billie Eilish's Los Angeles home, actually released a statement saying they appreciated the broader message behind her comments, though they noted she hasn't contacted them directly and emphasized that public figures should name specific tribes to avoid vague acknowledgments. In other words, even the tribe Cruz is supposedly defending by attacking Eilish didn't ask him to do this. They had a nuanced response that acknowledged both the value of the visibility and the need for more specific action. But nuance doesn't play well in a 90-second Fox News clip. Then Cruz pivots to his real talking points. He calls Netflix a left-wing company and cites Reed Hastings, Netflix's founder, as one of the biggest Democrat donors in the country. Is that true? Yes. According to Politico, Reed Hastings donated $2 million in August 2025 to support California Governor Gavin Newsom's redistricting campaign, which aimed to help Democrats flip seats in the 2026 midterm elections. Variety also reported that Hastings donated $7 million to Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign. So Cruz isn't making that part up. But here's what Cruz conveniently leaves out. Reed Hastings is not Netflix. He's the chairman and co-founder, but he's making these donations as a private citizen with his own money. The company itself has to appeal to all viewers, which Sarandos literally tried to explain when he said their consumer base is split roughly 40% conservative, 40% liberal, and 20% don't know. Because, and this might shock Ted Cruz, a for-profit company that alienates half its potential subscribers would be committing financial suicide. Cruz also brings up Susan Rice being on Netflix's board of directors. That's true. Variety confirmed that Rice, who served as Obama's national security advisor from 2013 to 2017 and as UN ambassador from 2009 to 2013, joined Netflix's board in March 2018, left in December 2020 to join the Biden administration, and then rejoined the board in September 2023. But again, Susan Rice isn't programming Netflix shows. Board members provide corporate governance, oversight. They're not sitting in writers' rooms deciding what gets greenlit. And then there's the Obama production deal, which Cruz characterizes as Netflix giving $50 million to the Obamas, as far as I can tell, to produce no discernible content whatsoever. Except that's completely false. According to Netflix's own announcement, Higher Ground Productions, the Obama's production company, has produced multiple successful projects, including Leave the World Behind, which became the 5th most watched Netflix film of all time. They also produced Rustin, which earned Oscar, BAFTA, and SAG Award nominations for Coleman Domingo, American Symphony, which was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Song, the Oscar-nominated documentary Crip Camp, the Emmy-winning Our Great National Parks, and series like Bodkin, Waffles Plus Mochi, and Ada Twist, Scientist. So no discernible content is just a lie. It's provably, demonstrably false. What Cruz is really mad about isn't that Netflix made a deal with the Obamas. Production deals are completely normal in Hollywood. Every major platform has them with A-list talent. What he's mad about is that Netflix made a deal with the Obamas and not with, say, Ben Shapiro or Dennis Prager. He's upset about whose voices get amplified, which is his right as a citizen, but it's not evidence of corruption or bias. It's evidence that Netflix made a business decision to partner with two of the most popular public figures in the world who happen to be Democrats. And notice how Cruz frames the question to Bruce Campbell. Name one program that is designed to appeal to conservatives. When Campbell says they don't design programming to appeal to political groups, Cruz immediately pounces. Really? John Oliver's not designed to appeal to a certain group? But here's the sleight of hand. John Oliver is political satire. It's not designed to appeal to liberals any more than The Daily Show or Saturday Night Live are. It's designed to appeal to people who like political satire, which tends to skew liberal because conservatives canceled their own political satire when the 1/2-hour news hour bombed spectacularly in 2007 after 17 episodes. But Cruz isn't interested in these distinctions because he's not actually concerned about the merger. If he were, he'd be asking about things like, how will this affect subscription prices? What happens to theatrical releases? Will this reduce jobs in the industry? What about diversity of content? Will smaller creators get squeezed out? Those are the questions an actual antitrust-focused senator would ask. Instead, we got a performance designed to create a viral moment where Ted Cruz destroys Netflix executives over wokeness. Mission accomplished, I guess. So what does this actually mean? Why does it matter that Ted Cruz turned an antitrust hearing into a culture war spectacle? First, on a personal level, here's what this means for you as a consumer. When senators abandon their oversight responsibilities to perform for Fox News, mergers like this one sail through with less scrutiny. According to Variety, if this $83 billion deal goes through, Netflix will control about 21% of the premium streaming market in the United States. That's a massive consolidation of power. And when one company controls that much of the market, what happens? Prices go up, content diversity goes down, smaller competitors get crushed. It's like if your local grocery store merged with all the other grocery stores in town. Sure, they'd promise to keep prices low, but what leverage would you have if they didn't? Second, there are broader institutional implications here. The Hollywood Reporter noted that someone dressed as the Monopoly man sat directly behind Sarandos during the hearing to protest the merger's anti-competitive effects. That protester understood what this hearing was supposed to be about better than Ted Cruz did. When senators use oversight hearings for political theater instead of actual oversight, the whole system breaks down. These hearings exist so the public can scrutinize powerful companies and hold them accountable. When they become culture war circuses, that function disappears. Why is Cruz doing this? Is it because he's genuinely concerned about whether Americans have access to diverse entertainment options? Is it because he's worried about the consolidation of media power in fewer and fewer hands? No. According to Deadline, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos met with President Donald Trump on November 24, 2024, just weeks before the Netflix-Warner Brothers deal was announced, and Trump has said he would be involved in the merger review. The Daily Beast also reported that Trump's billionaire buddy, Skydance Paramount owner David Ellison, would very much like to buy Warner Brothers, especially CNN, outright in place of Netflix's deal. So this isn't about principles. It's about power, it's about who controls major media assets, and it's about Cruz positioning himself as the guy who fights woke Hollywood, while the actual substance of corporate consolidation goes unexamined. Cruz is doing this because attacking Hollywood plays well with his base, it generates clips for right-wing media, and it distracts from the fact that he's not actually doing the hard work of antitrust oversight. Remember, this is the same guy who flew to Cancun while Texans froze to death. So doing the hard work has never really been his thing. Here's where we are right now. According to the Wrap, Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders could vote on the Netflix transaction as early as March 2026. The deal is under review by the Department of Justice, and Trump has indicated he'll be personally involved in that review process, which raises all kinds of questions about political interference in what should be an independent regulatory process. But here's what this isn't about, and here's what it is about. This isn't about whether Netflix has a liberal bias, or whether Billie Eilish should own property while criticizing colonialism, or whether the Grammys are too political. Those are all distractions. What this is about is whether we're going to allow massive consolidation of corporate power in the entertainment industry to happen with virtually no meaningful scrutiny, because senators are too busy auditioning for cable news to do their damn jobs. It's about whether we still have a functioning system of checks and balances, or whether oversight hearings have become pure political theater with no substance behind them. And look, I'm not naive enough to think Ted Cruz is going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly start asking substantive questions about market concentration and consumer welfare. He won't. But what we can do is recognize what's happening here, call it out, and demand better. When your senator uses an antitrust hearing to litigate Grammy speeches, that's not oversight, that's malpractice. And the next time someone tries to tell you that Hollywood is corrupting America, maybe ask them whether they're more concerned about what entertainers say at award shows, or about whether 4 companies will soon control 80% of all streaming content. Spoiler alert, the Monopoly Man guy already knows the answer. If you made it this far, hit like so more people see what's really going on behind the headlines. Share this video with someone who needs the full story, not just the viral clips. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. And don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown. Thanks for watching, and bye.